Your phone doesn't have your Instagram feed on it. It asks for it every time you open the app. On last episode, we built a machine that answers, but all it could do was hand over files that already existed on a disk. Your feed is not a file. It's built for you on the spot out of thousands of pieces, and it's different from everybody else's. So the app can't just say, send me a file. It has to say something much more specific. This person's feed, the newest 20 posts right now, which means both sides need to agree in advance on exactly what can be asked and how to ask it. That agreement is an API. This is System Design from Zero, Episode 3. What an API actually is. An API is a fixed list of requests a system promises to answer. That's it. That's the definition. Every item on the list has a name, and if you use the name correctly, you get an answer. If you ask for anything that isn't on the list, you get nothing. For a social app, the list might look like this: give me a user's feed, give me one post, add a like to this post, delete this comment. 4 items. 4 things the outside world is allowed to ask for. Each item on the list is called an endpoint. You'll hear this word constantly. It just means one named request the system agrees to answer. And notice what's not on the list. Give me everyone's private messages, isn't there? The list doesn't just describe what you can do, it defines what you can't. What a request and answer look like. Here's an actual request. The app says get slash feed. Get means bring me something. Slash feed is which thing. That's a real request, and it's about as complicated as they get. What comes back is not a web page, it's data. A short, structured list. Post 1, who wrote it, how many likes. Post 2, same thing. No colors, no layout, no fonts. The machine sends the facts, and your app decides how to draw them. That split is why the same feed can look completely different on your phone, on the website, and on a watch. Same data, different drawing. And there's a second kind of request. Get brings something back, post sends something new. When you tap like, your app posts a like and the machine records it. Get and post, that's the vast majority of everything apps ever says to each other. So why the list? Why not let the app reach into the machine and take what it needs? 3 reasons. First, it's the only thing standing between you and everybody else's data. The machine doesn't run whatever it's handed. It only answers requests on the list and it checks who's asking. That's why you get your feed and not somebody else's. Second, the list lets everything behind it change. The team can rewrite the code, swap the storage, move to a different machine entirely, and no app on earth breaks. As long as get slash feed still returns a feed. That's the single most valuable property of an API. Everything behind it stays free to change. Third reason, one list serves everyone. Your phone app, the website, a smartwatch, someone else's app, all of them send the same request to the same place. Build it once, serve everything. You can send one of these requests right now with no code at all. Open a browser and go to a public API, one that anyone is allowed to ask. What loads isn't a website, it's raw data, brackets, names, values. That's exactly what your apps receive hundreds of times a day, every day. You just never see it because the app turns it into buttons and pictures. You just did by hand what Instagram's app does the moment you open it. You send a name request to a machine you don't own and it sends back structured facts. That's an API call. No magic, a very specific question and a very specific answer. The crack in the story. The machine answered get/feed with a feed. But where did that feed come from? Something has to be keeping every post ever written, every like, every account, every message. Instagram stores hundreds of billions of photos. That's not a pile of files in a folder. You'd never find anything and nothing would ever be fast enough. So there's something inside that machine doing the remembering, something built for holding enormous amounts of information and pulling out any single piece of it instantly. That's a database. That's next episode. Next episode, database for people who have never used one. If you called an API for the first time today, tell me in the comments. This is system design from zero, one idea at a time. See you in episode 4.